The script, when I received it, was that the main character, though exciting, charismatic, was not somebody you cared about. So my pitch was, look, we've got to love this guy. Why would you love a guy who's a soldier who then tries to kill an emperor? Which is to be reunited with his wife and child.
Nicholson dashed off an email to the film set at Shepperton Studios describing his suggested fix.
It was exactly at this point that we were suddenly having a disastrous day at Shepperton, where Russell was very nervous, Ridley was getting nervous. Hence, when this memo, this incredibly lucid memo occurred, everyone said, Jesus, get this guy right away.
Nicholson was offered a massive fee to drop all his other commitments and salvage Gladiator.
I'm not a rewrite merchant, but I was flattered because the flattery was, we think you may have put your finger on what this needs. You may be able to rescue this. And that is very, very flattering. I had this vision of myself as a knight on a white horse coming charging in to the rescue of the damsel in distress. I mean, a rather large, fat damsel, this movie. So I said, okay, and I don't think I had any idea when I said yes to that, what I was letting myself in for.
What Nicholson had let himself in for was an epic struggle in every sense. On the Gladiator set, writer Bill Nicholson was finding out what he'd let himself in for.
This was like a war zone, you know. I was coming into a war zone.
Things came to a head over what would become the most memorable scene in the movie.
Very often the lines would arrive on the set that morning or sometimes an hour before, and that's hard because then an actor, it's not just remembering, it's actually, you know, also getting in character and how you're going to deal with these new words.
I can remember being on the set and I'd literally just done a scene and the pages are rushed through and they're standing there about to do the lines. In fact, it was that moment when he takes off his helmet and says who he is, and I'd written this speech. And he said, I'm not going to speak this shit. Ridley says, well, what's the problem, Russell? What do I want to speak this for? Why can't we have it the way it was this morning? You know, because that's what he's rehearsed. Fair enough. So what is Ridley going to do? He says, okay, we'll shoot that. So they shoot the earlier version. It's not all that good, you know. And then Russell does it, and then he comes over and he says, let me have a look at that shit. And he looks at the page again. He said, well, might as well try it. So they do the new material.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Felix Legions, loyal servant to the true emperor Marcus Aurelius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next.
And it's fantastic, electrifying, you see. And so Ridley said, Russell, what's the problem? It worked. And Russell says, it was shit, but I'm the greatest actor in the world and I can make even shit sound good.
Bill Nicholson had survived the first battle, but further struggles lay ahead. DreamWorks' Roman epic Gladiator also looked to have weathered the storm. The movie was nearing the end of production. In a viewing theatre in Los Angeles, DreamWorks executive Walter Parks was watching footage from the movie.
I shall be closer to you for the next few days, which will be the last of your miserable lives, than that bitch of a mother that brought you screaming into this world. I did not pay good money for you for your company. I paid it so that I could profit from your death.
We were seeing dailies of Oliver Reed. We were watching this extraordinary performance, and Ollie looked so tan and so great. And we were just talking about the fact that Oliver Reed has come back. This amazing actor suddenly is going to have a rebirth in his career. And that was a Friday. And then Saturday morning, I got the phone call that he had died.
Oliver Reed, the seemingly indestructible rabble-rouser, had collapsed and died, with major scenes still to be filmed.
You first take in the human loss, and then much too quickly the producer takes over, and you say, yeah, that's a terrible thing. How much of this have we shot, and how are we going to deal with this?
The movie was now in serious jeopardy. It could mean recasting and reshooting all of Reed's scenes, which would add months to the schedule, millions to the budget, and crucify DreamWorks.
One of the options we looked at, which made Ridley Scott go completely pale, was the idea that we would reshoot. Now remember, he had shot the war scenes, we had just come from Morocco. We would reshoot every scene that Oliver Reed was in with a new actor, which, might have been a $26, $27 million insurance claim. But forgetting the money, the idea for Ridley of trying to get lightning in a bottle a second time, because it was such a great character that Oliver had created, and he had made a difficult character work, to have you care about a guy who was sending men to their death, but still know how tough the guy was.
The studio called in the cavalry.
On Sunday, the phone rang, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was Walter in LA. And he said, I've just woken up. Oliver Reed died 2 hours ago. Get on a plane back to Malta and create a new ending. We'd only shot scenes in which he continued to be the cynical old baggage, you see. So we didn't have him, so we had to kill him earlier in the story. But we had to redeem him first, because the demands of a character like that are very, very clear. He's the lovable rogue, and at a certain point, the lovable rogue reveals that actually there's good in him.
The writer had to redeem Proximo by piecing together earlier dialogue by the now dead actor.
Open the gate, Proximo!
Nicholson conjured a complex solution, but would it translate to the screen?
Everything is prepared.
Director Ridley Scott and Oscar-winning editor Pietro Scalia set to work.
This is double, okay? He's crossing the yard in a silhouette. What we did is this. He walks forward, but I flopped him. We shot the clean plate and over the shoulder of Maximus with the screen. So that, plus a reverse shot of Oliver walking forward, created this one.
Do you want to die, old man?
But what we had to do is, because this was still in Morocco or in Africa, we had to shave his beard, and we had to combine and shift him over, background, over the shoulder. So it was basically the same idea.
It seems you have won your freedom.
Proximo, are you in danger of becoming a good man?
Ridley Scott and his team had managed to redeem Oliver Reed's character, but now he had to die.
What I did was I found in the words he speaks coming out of the tunnel into the Colosseum, he gives a speech to the gladiators.
We mortals are but shadows and dust. Shadows and dust, Maximus!
That ringing Lyceum of Antonia.
So it doesn't matter if you die, is his point. Shadows and dust, he says, and then he drops his head and he says, shadows and dust. And they were going to use the first bit, shadows and dust. Okay, but we had this other bit, shadows and dust. So I said, that is a man accepting his own death. The Praetorians have pulled down the gates and they're coming swarming through. They come hammering up the stairs. We see him holding the sword of freedom in his hand, not Oliver Reed. Then we cut to the front, digitally insert the guards charging up to him from behind and have him say, shadows and dust. Then cut back to the back, in go the knife, and the sword of freedom drops, and he's redeemed.
Shadow's dust.
It gives the illusion that it was actually written this way.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we're repeating a line that he said earlier on.
There he goes. He gets very reflective.
Yeah.
Shadow's dust.
So that was how we put it together in the end. It goes quite fast. It's quite difficult to spot the joins. I mean, you'd know it if you now looked through. There is no cheating. I mean, the lips are not made to move digitally ever. It's all real, all of that. It's a reconstructed story.
DreamWorks' sword and sandal epic was at last complete. The final film was seamless and never missed a beat. What the filmmakers achieved is now part of movie folklore. Gladiator cut a swathe through the Academy Awards, winning 5 Oscars, including Best Actor for Russell Crowe.